Hello, and nice to see you all today. My name is Cheryl Boesfield, and I'm an attorney with SFM's in-house legal department, and I am in my 26th year practicing in the area of workers' compensation. I am here to discuss with you from a legal perspective how implementing workplace violence de-escalation practices and procedures can positively impact an injured worker's claim and ultimately your workers' compensation policy. So why should one care about workplace violence and de-escalation practices and procedures? First, it provides safety for all in the workplace, taking into consideration all employees, all coworkers, those individuals who may be coming into your place of business, including customers, clients, vendors, or others, and overall, the public. You also may be wondering, how does workers' compensation come into play in workplace violence and de-escalation practices and procedures? First, workers' compensation insurance protects all employers and all injured workers in most cases. Workers' compensation is a no-fault insurance system where an employer is responsible for an injured worker and the related benefits regardless of fault. It is state-created legislation that provides an outline of what benefits are available to all injured workers. Workplace violence injuries can arise in multiple situations and in multiple ways, leading to a work-related injury. A workplace violence injury might happen in the workplace, wherever that might be. A workplace injury might happen while on the way into work or out of work, known as ingress and egress. A workplace violence injury might happen while traveling for work. To be a workplace violence injury, it must arise out of the employment from the acts of a coworker or due to the acts of a third person where the conduct was directed against the employee as an employee or because of the employee's employment. However, a claim will not be compensable if the violence was directed at an employee due to personal reasons unrelated to the employee's employment. So what types of workplace violence injuries are we seeing and in what settings? Two of the main areas where we see workplace violence injuries are in the areas of education and healthcare. First, looking at schools, school workers include a wide variety of positions, including teachers, paraprofessionals, aides, support staff, custodial, food, and others. An example of a workplace violence injury is one that happened to a teacher when a fight broke out between a group of students during the change in classes. The teacher stepped in to break up the fight, leading to a low back injury requiring surgery. Another example is an injury that happened to a special education paraprofessional who, while working with a student who became agitated, pushed the paraprofessional, causing the paraprofessional's head to hit a wall, leading to a head injury of a concussion. Looking next at healthcare, healthcare workers include a wide variety of positions, including nurses, certified nursing assistants, aides, laundry, dietary, support staff, custodial, food services, and others. An example of a workplace violence injury that happened to an aide who was helping a client get dressed was pushed by the client, causing the aide to fall onto the knee, leading to a knee surgery. An example of an injury that happened to a nurse who was assaulted while taking a patient's vitals, causing a head injury of a concussion. Looking to other industries, all areas of employment can see workplace violence, leading to workplace violence injuries. No area is immune. An example is a severe head injury that happened to a worker in a warehouse where coworker 1 believed coworker 2 tried to hit him with a forklift and in retaliation assaulted coworker 1, causing a very serious head injury of bleeding on the brain. The last area I would like to touch on are those workplace violence injuries where third persons are coming onto a work premise. High risk factors in industries include those such as banks, restaurants, and property management. An example of a workplace violence injury is one that happened to a worker at a fast food business where a customer, not happy at how long the wait was, threw a drink at the worker, bruising the worker's face. Another example is of a workplace violence injury happened to an apartment manager who was assaulted while asking disruptive guests to leave the building, leading to a neck and head injury of a concussion. I would like to turn to situations where an injured employee obtains an attorney and what that might mean. Injured employees retain attorneys for multiple reasons. It could be at the suggestion of a family member, a friend, or a coworker, One of the most common reasons is lack of communication. Could be a lack of communication from the employer with the injured employee feeling no one cares, no one has checked in on me. It could be directed at the insurance company with the injured worker feeling they have not heard quickly enough. It could be due to a delay in benefits, whether it is a delay in being paid wage loss or the approval of recommended medical care. Another reason we see at times is fear of an injured employee losing one's job. Often, it is the lack of understanding the workers' compensation process. You may not be surprised to learn that attorney involvement in a claim often leads to an increase in the claim costs. Litigated claims on average are over 5 times the cost of non-litigated claims. This has been confirmed by SFM's analytic team looking at data from 2019 to 2023. We also know litigated claims remain open longer than non-litigated claims, and which is, again, has been confirmed by SFM's data and also national data. And per the national data, their data shows that a claim may be open as long as 195% longer. This brings us to the now what. You may be thinking, so what can I as an employer do to help control my workers' compensation costs due to these workplace violence injuries? We would like to leave you with the following strategies that you as an employer can put in place as a part of your workers' compensation policies and procedures before an injury happens and during. First, timely reporting of all injuries, whether you think an injury is compensable or not, is key. Another important is communication. Communicate early and often with the injured worker. We cannot emphasize this enough. Do look to your hiring practices, including accommodate light duty work by bringing an injured employee back to work, having a return to work policy, and be flexible with that return to work. Before termination of an injured employee, do consider the impact of terminating on the work injury claim. Do continue to follow your own business policies, procedures, and expectations. Continue to enforce your de-escalation procedures, policies, and practices. During a work injury, take reports and complaints seriously, such as an employee not following work restrictions. Utilize your internal resources, such as medical leave, which is an accommodation or use of short-term and long-term disability. Look to your external resources, utilizing those resources such as employee assistance programs. And lastly, do rely on your agency and SFM team. We are here to partner with you at all steps along the way. Thank you for watching. You can find more educational work comp videos at sfmic.com/webinars.